this was a ceremonial place for the Native Americans before the Europeans ever arrived. This was the entryway to the harbor, right here at Bowling Green. A lot of the land around here is landfill, so the harbor and the river were right near where we are, right? The other parks around these other blocks, it's landfill that came later. But the Dutch arrived here in the early 1600s, and they created a city. In 1653, this became the first self-governing place in America. And we had the first important flag raising here, which was the Dutch flag was raised here. The first park in America is Bowling Green. This is the first park. This is the first public park anywhere in America. Bowling Green, 1733. I'm going to try to jump through this quickly. I could speak for hours about Bowling Green, but I want to focus on the history of the flags. The second important flag raising was here on November 25th, 1783. George Washington, at the end of the Revolutionary War, came to declare victory. The last British soldiers still stand in America. We're here at Bowling Green. There was the fort here, they were here, and the last British flag flying in America was here at Bowling Green, where we're going to raise the Mexican flag. George Washington came down to witness the last British troops leaving, and the British flag coming down, and the American flag raised here for the first time, the 13th star flag. You'll see we keep the 13th star flag for that reason. The third important historic flag raising event here occurred in 1996, in March 25th, 1996. We only had one flagpole here, and a lot of nations wanted to raise their flags also here because of the importance of the place. But the city would say to me, we can't take down the American flag. He said, why don't you have all these people who want to raise their flags, why don't they donate a second flagpole? And it turned out that the Greek American community donated their money for a flagpole and to put it in, and for the first time, on March 25th, 1996, we began raising the flags of other nations here along with the American flag. Now, we've been doing that for 23 years now, hundreds of different times, until I applied for the permit to raise the Mexican flag here. For the first time in 23 years, the mayor put out an edict, no more flag raisings at Bowling Green. I don't want to go into all the details, this is not the place, but I told Arturo, I said, Arturo, I don't think we're possibly going to overcome this by May 4th, but the next flag to be raised here is going to be the Mexican flag. Well, I opposed the mayor, went up head-to-head with the mayor on this. It was illegal what he's doing, and they backed off, and we did get the permit, and so we are here today. I consider this raising the fourth historic flag raising at Bowling Green that we'll always talk about because of that reason, that we overcame the resistance in many ways. Raise the Mexican flag here is going to be a very proud moment for us. Whether or not it's still raining a few minutes from now, we're going to raise the flag, and it's going to fly over New York City for the days to come. So, Arturo, thank you very much. Thank you. This way,
communication between two vessels. What message are we sending today as we raise the Mexican flag? Are we proclaiming Mexico as the new conquerors of New York? I believe the opposite took place as vast swaths of land, now known as Arizona, New Mexico, Texas, and California, were invaded and conquered by the United States. Are we stating the land beneath the flagpole belongs to the people of Mexico? And which people would that be? The Aztecs, from whom the Spaniards usurped the land and slaughtered? The wave of German and Irish immigrants who lawfully made Mexico their home? Like the United States, Mexico is a land of immigrants. Like the United States, that land was stolen from indigenous people. In fact, the very ground that we're standing on was once occupied by the Lenape tribe before their lives and land were stolen from them. So no, we're neither proclaiming Mexico as conquerors of Bowling Green, nor are we saying that this is Mexico, and therefore different or better or worse than the soil in Chapultepec. Maybe we raise the flag as a means of stating our identity. I was born in Mexico City to a Cuban father with German and Irish ancestry. My mother was born in Detroit to Mexican, Spanish, and what I'm pretty sure, indigenous Mexican ancestry. My wife is Jewish and African American, so the concept of stating my identity by means of nationhood is pretty much impossible. And if you were to meet my sons, you'd be hard put to place them, and they'd be hard put to feel racism towards anybody. So that leaves us the option of raising this flag as a means of communication. But what exactly am I communicating? Let me give you another interpretation of flag. Flag is communication. Flags can be seen as culture. Culture is the glue that binds all of us. We all dance, sing, dress, read, celebrate, and live lives punctuated by ritual. Some of us do all those things strictly at the hands of corporate purveyors. Some of us less so. But all of us are defined and connected by culture. In that sense, instead of a flag as a demarcation of territory, instead of a flag as a conquering symbol, instead of a flag as a way of distinguishing yourself from others, a flag can be a celebration of culture and the rituals that every human being shares. From the Himalayas to the Catskills, from the Strait of Hormuz to Verrazano Bay. Instead of flags that are used to separate, flags can be used to invite, to say, this is how our familia marks life, how we celebrate our existence. Won't you join us? Yes, think of the correct usage of flags as invitations for others to join your tribe without diluting theirs. Think of them as an invitation to your table in the hopes that they'll invite you to theirs, and that somehow this whole convoluted manipulation by the greedy to conquer and divide with mass weapons of deception will be destroyed as we dance the dance of others, eat the food of others, and mark our days with the rituals that all humanity shares. I learned that culture is stronger than hatred, stronger than walls, stronger than conquerors, isolationism, and in fact stronger than physical matter. I learned that from a wizard that is here today, a man by the name of Jorge Francisco Castillo. He began a festival at the border of San Diego and Tijuana 12 years ago called Fandango Fronterizo, in which he gathers musicians from throughout Mexico and the United States, and they meet at the mesh between the two countries. They look at each other through wires so fine that they can barely touch fingertips. And then they do the most radical, revolutionary, and subversive act imaginable. They dance and sing. And right there in the midst of armed border guards, chicken wire, and physical separation, they defy time and space, politics and fear, and the politics of fear. They defy conquerors, nationalism, greed, and hatred, and lift high the royal banner of love. The wall is the very tool that they use to destroy hatred and separation. As in the best examples of all humanity, from Gandhi to Martin Luther King, from Rosa Parks to Mother Teresa, they use the very circumstances of suffering to bring enlightenment. They use the very elements of matter to defy matter. No small trick, but rather enlightened humanity of the highest order. The relationship between our two nations has been bathed in bloodshed and fear. A little less than 4 years ago, a presidential campaign was announced with these words: when Mexico sends its people, they're not sending their best. They're bringing drugs, they're bringing crime, they're rapists. And in the interim, it's been a daily assault of nationalism, politicking by fear and division, and misinformation about the realities of immigration. As I said, this is nothing new, and the reality is that our mutual history is one of violence, fear, and brutality. We don't have to accept this. We can invite others to join us in this moment. We can deny the spirit of division, fear, and intolerance that seems to trickle down from the nation's highest offices. We're better than this. And our fear of those whose language is different and whose skin tone may be not ours is actually the conduit in which to overcome our fear. And so in the spirit of Fandango Fronterizo, in the example of Jorge Francisco Castillo, in the name of all that holds humanity as one, we raise this flag. We raise the very symbol of identity to proclaim unity, the very symbol of conquering to proclaim giving, the very symbol of nationhood to proclaim global unity. We raise this flag to invite and to be invited. We raise this flag as a symbol of culture, as a symbol of unity and the things that we all hold in common. We raise this flag as a way to invite everyone within sight of every flag and every wall to be part of our pueblo, to be part of our familia. Que viva México y que viva la humanidad.
Viva. Que viva. Now, let's go outside and raise the Mexican flag proudly over New York City. Hold up the flag again. All right. Very good. All right. Thank you.
And so in the spirit of Fandango Fronterizo, in the example of Jorge Francisco Castillo, in the name of all that holds humanity as one, we raise this flag. We raise the very symbol of identity to proclaim unity, the very symbol of conquering to proclaim giving, the very symbol of nationhood to proclaim global unity. We raise this flag to invite and to be invited. We raise this flag as a symbol of culture, as a symbol of unity and the things that we all hold in common. We raise this flag not as a way to divide, but as a way to invite everyone within sight of every flag and every wall to be part of our pueblo, to be part of our familia. Que viva México y que viva la humanidad. Viva. Viva. Viva México!